everybody. Thanks so much. This is the Monday 7:30 p.m. Ireland time, OA Blackrock meeting. If we could please open with the Serenity Prayer.
God,
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Welcome to the Monday night Zoom meeting of Overeaters Anonymous. This is a closed meeting. My name is Rebecca A, and I'm a compulsive overeater. If this is your first time at the meeting or you are visiting, please introduce yourself by your first name so we can get to know you better. Yeah, do we have anybody new with us? Or if you feel more comfortable to write your name in the chat, please do that.
Hi, I'm Mary from Cork.
Hi, you there. I had two voices at once. Who's there? Someone from New York?
No, I'm Mary. I'm a compulsive overeater from Cork.
From Cork,
Mary.
Cork, New York. Hi, Mary. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Jill. I'm a compulsive overeater, and I'm with the Cardiff group. I have joined you once before. You had a speaker, but yes. Hello.
Hey, welcome. Great to have you back with us today. Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Maya. I'm calling from Slovenia.
Hi, Maya from Slovenia. Great to have you with us, Maya.
Haven't been a compulsive overeater. Haven't been to this meeting for a long time, but I'm looking forward to it. So hi.
Hi.
Sorry, Rebecca, could you also make Audrey the co-host as well? Somebody has just posted in the chat for Audrey to be recorded. She needs to be one of the co-hosts as well. So I've started the recording, but if you can just make her co-host, that'd be brilliant as well.
I will do. Thank you, Mark. I will do that now.
And thanks to the person who put that in the chat.
Thanks. Yeah. And please jump in to introduce yourself while I do that, if there's anybody else new.
Hey, this is Susan, a recovered compulsive overeater in North Carolina, USA. First time to this meeting, not new to OA, and I'm sorry I'm off camera. I'm having a migraine today, but I'm happy to be with y'all. Thanks.
Hi, Susan. Welcome.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, great to have you with us. And I'm just going to quickly check the chat. We've got Darren, first time here, 2 weeks in OA. Welcome home, Darren. Great to have you. And yeah, welcome home anyone else. You are home, you are welcome. And yeah, you're doing a service by being here for the meeting, which is awesome. Okay. If you have any questions or concerns during the meeting, please contact either myself or Mark D by private message in the chat function. We ask if you can please make sure you keep your microphone on mute at all times during today's meeting. And also please turn off your video if you are exercising, eating, or if you need to step away from your screen for any reason. We are going to read the preamble and the following readings taken from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. So the OA preamble. Overeaters Anonymous is a fellowship of individuals who, through shared experience, strength, and hope, are recovering from compulsive overeating. We welcome everyone who wants to stop eating compulsively. There are no dues or fees for members. We are self-supporting for our own contributions, neither soliciting nor accepting outside donations. OA is not affiliated with any public or private organization, political movement, or ideology. Or religious doctrine. We take no position on outside issues. Our primary purpose is to abstain from compulsive eating and compulsive food behaviors, and to carry the message of recovery through the 12 steps of OA to those who still suffer. Okay, may I please ask Anita to read How It Works on page 58 Thanks for your service.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks a million. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates, they are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. There is one who has all power. That one is God. May find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery.
Thank you so much, Anita. Thanks for that. Next, can we have Michelle to please read the 12 steps?
Hello everyone, Michelle, compulsive overeater. 1, we admitted we were powerless over food, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to overeaters and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one amongst us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along with spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the compulsive overeater, the chapters to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were overeaters and that we could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our compulsive overeating. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your service. Okay, next could we have Colin to read more about compulsive overeating from page 30 in the big book.
More about compulsive overeating. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real compulsive overeaters. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our eating careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could eat like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his eating is the great obsession of every abnormal eater. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were compulsive overeaters. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe, has to be smashed. We are men and women who have lost the ability to control our eating. We know that no real compulsive overeater ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We're convinced to a man that overeaters of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs, they never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make overeaters of our kind like other men. We have tried every manageable remedy. In some instances, there's been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with overeating agree there's no such thing as making a normal eater out of a compulsive overeater. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet.
Thanks, that's great. Thank you. Okay, Mark, please could you read tradition 8, the tradition of the month? Thanks.
Tradition 8. OA should never remain, or should remain forever non-professional, but our service centres may employ special workers.
Perfect, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And last but not least, may Rebecca, could you please read Vision for You on page 164?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm a compulsive overeater. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realise we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
That's awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. Okay. So the topic of this week is big book reading and speaker meeting. So please could I invite Margaret to kindly read page 52 of the big book for us, ending in we began to feel like those who had insisted the rights would never fly, followed by a beautiful share from the lovely Audrey.
Thanks, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. I'm Margaret. I'm a compulsive overeater, and this reading is from the chapter We Agnostics. But in most fields, our generation has witnessed complete liberation of our thinking. Show any longshoreman a Sunday supplement describing a proposal to explore the moon by means of a rocket, and he will say, I bet they do it, maybe not so long either. Is not our age characterized by the ease with which we discard old ideas for new, by the complete readiness with which we throw away the theory or gadget which does not work for something new which does? We had to ask ourselves why we shouldn't apply to our human problems this same readiness to change our point of view. We were having trouble with personal relationships. We couldn't control our emotional natures. We were a prey to misery and depression. We couldn't make a living. We had a feeling of uselessness. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't even seem to be of real help to other people. Was not a basic solution of these bedevilments more important than whether we should see newsreels of lunar flight? Of course it was. When we saw others solve their problems by a simple reliance upon the spirit of the universe, we had to stop doubting the power of God. Our ideas did not work, but the God idea did. The Wright brothers' almost childish faith that they could build a machine which would fly was the mainspring of their accomplishment. Without that, nothing could have happened. We agnostics and atheists were sticking to the idea that self-sufficiency would solve our problems. When others showed us that God's sufficiency worked with them, we began to feel like those who had insisted the Wrights would never fly. Thank you, Rebecca.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Margaret, for that. Okay, I'd like to invite Audrey to come and share with us on what we've just read and bring her experience, strength, hope. Take it away, Audrey. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Rebecca, and thanks everybody for doing service and making this meeting so easy to attend. And yet when I was asked to share, it was a yes straight away, and then it was a, you know, that whole fear that comes after. So I'm very grateful to be here this evening. I'm Audrey, a grateful, recovered, compulsive overeater for today, and I am abstinent 13 hours. And the rest before that is an extra bonus. My program has to be really simple, so simple that I'm sitting with a book. I have no notes, I have no script. I just asked my higher power before the meeting to come with me and to give me the guidance of what to say. Although I probably text Rebecca about 100 times in relation to this share, but yeah, I get really distracted by having any notes. So I will just go to the reading here. I suppose just a little bit about myself. I'm out of relapse since last August. I came back into the rooms last March after being away for a couple of years. And when I mean away, I don't mean away having a great time on a holiday. I mean away in the depths of the disease. Literally, I suppose digging my own grave with a fork. That's what I was doing. I was compulsively eating and getting worse. So I came back into the rooms last March when the Zoom meetings came back, and I sat there for a few months full of resentment, full of fear, looking at people with recovery and this new recovery that had come, I suppose, with the experience of people sharing from across, you know, across everywhere and having the vision for you. And again, you know, I wasn't able to commit to anything because everything was so overwhelming. I can make the small tasks into really huge things. I get on to debating society in the morning, you know, and that's like, will I put the right foot out before the left or the left out before the right? So when I say I keep my program simple, I kid you not, it is so simple. When I look at this chapter, before when I was in program, it used to just go over my head. I always found that the English in it was very heavy, but I wasn't in a space to hear the words that it was talking about, you know, and that's because I was blocked. You know, I was purely blocked and I could not connect to the higher power. And this chapter was all about the willingness, you know, and I sat in the rooms, made the eye contact, nodded my head. People thought, yeah, you know, she's looking to get it. But I was looking to get it my way. You know, I wanted to be in the driver's seat all the time, and I was never willing to move over and allow higher power to guide me, because I always knew best. My ego was so big, you know, and when I came into the rooms and heard people talking about how selfish and the defects, I used to sit there and in my head think, you know, what exactly have they done, you know, to be so selfish and so self-seeking? And it was only when I came through recovery and realized that those defects I had been living, and was so, I like, one of my biggest is self-seeking, you know. So I'm that person that gets the best birthday present so that the person will be like overwhelmed, and I will, you know, they will tell me how good I am. Not because that I'm the best friend, but because I got the best present. But I would feel great. And that was my defects of character. So this chapter again, you know, it, as it says a few pages before, it's only asking us to be willing, you know. It doesn't say you can't move on from this chapter unless you have found the perfect higher power. It literally asks you, be willing to believe that there's something bigger than you. So when I come in from work and turn on the electricity, you know, I don't pick up a sledgehammer and start trying to find the wires of where that electricity comes. I just trust that it's there. So when I wake up in the morning and I hand my day over and I ask the higher power, I know it's there, you know, because I have to be willing to believe it's there. So for the last few, you know, for the last 13 hours today and whatever before that, something has kept me turning up and something has kept me abstinence. And that has to be my higher power. I try and explain it to people. I can't draw it. I don't know what it looks like. It's a feeling. It's what, you know, when I get up and do my morning prayer meditation, it guides me through the day. And even in, you know, this page, it says here, we were having trouble with personal relations. We couldn't control our emotional natures, you know, and I have wrote beside it the checklist for addicts: pray, misery, depression, couldn't make a living. You know, I couldn't make a choice. You know, I'm that person that sits going, will I wash my hair before I go to work, or will I do it when I come home? And 4 hours pass and it's like it had been done and everything. I actually can't make the smallest decisions. Full of fear, you know, fearful of, you know, people's opinions. You know, what if I make a mistake? What if somebody looks out, you know? And I was full of the judgment. If I walk into a room and everybody goes quiet, you know, my ego was telling me it's because it's me, you know. It might not be, because, and even if it is, it's not my business, you know. But I made everything all about me. The feeling of usefulness, you know, I'll never get that. I can't do that course. Even if I do, I'm going to fail. You know, it was always that disease. The disease thinking of an addict in my head was so strong, you know. The sound, it was so loud, you know, and it kept me every day unhappy. And I was unhappy. I was that person that, you know, had the jolly smile on and was great crack to be around, but inside I was dying. You know, I walk into a room and I'm like a detective. I have to scan the room. Where can I sit where I don't have to be and put myself vulnerable? You know, is there a chair I'm going to fit in? Am I going to be, you know, beside the food table? You know, am I going to have to walk through the dance floor to get something to eat? You know, my whole life was around that unbelievable fear feeling, you know. Um, I don't know why I see myself twice, but I'm going to just slide across. Okay, sorry. Bad enough having to see myself once, but I just don't want to see my whole self on the screen. um, and I was no help to others, you know. And if I was, it was because I was getting something from it, you know. There's a huge part of my recovery today, and I have to think, when I'm doing something, I always ask myself, what's my motive? You know, am I taking this call because this person is going to say, God, isn't she brilliant? Or am I taking this call because I'm going to get something from it? And the reason I take calls and the reason I work with newcomers and the reason I do these shares is because this disease is killing people. You know, this disease was killing me. And, you know, my motive is to share this message and to give it as simple as I can. You know, it's when it says here, you know, the news, the lunar flights, the Kitty Hawk, all of that stuff. You know, if we all sat at home and thought, no, that couldn't work and that will never be done, you know, we'd be living in a life that, you know, we would have no experience of anything, you know. And this experience that this book has given me has now given me a life that I can be present with people, you know. So I now meet somebody and I have a cup of coffee and it's eye contact. And I no longer have the side eye of like, oh, what are they getting? Or, you know, if she could really hurry up, like I need to go home and eat. Or, you know, I wouldn't mind if she ordered something because then I could, you know. I don't have that anymore in my life. You know, I'm present with people. Um and these, you know, the whole thing here, unhappy, you know, no help to other, you know, was not a basis of the bedevilments, you know. And I wrote down what bedevilments are, you know, and they're active making unwelcome intrusions upon others, you know, and that's what I did in the past, you know. It was all I could sit and talk about people, you know. I could sit and be in that negative thinking. I could sit, be unhappy, you know, be in disease. I don't have the luxury of that today, you know. I can't have 1 minute of a bitch fest, excuse me language, you know, because um that's not, I don't have the luxury of going home and like letting that go. That manifests in me as a resentment or a fear. And then I can't, you know, that just builds up and builds up and builds up for me. Um, so when it says human problems, you know, human problems for me can be anything from that small decision of getting up in the morning, you know, to that big decision of a tax bill coming in the door and just keep shoving it in the drawer and hoping that someone is going to pay that bill. Um, Today I don't have any outstanding, I was going to say warrants, but I don't have any outstanding warrants either. But I don't have any outstanding debts in like, you know, I do have a tax bill that comes in every year, you know, and for like, I think it was like 3 years I let it build up because I kept thinking it was so overwhelming to go and get somebody to help me to fill out the forms or to pick up the phone and ask it, you know, to get the tax person to do it, you know. All of that was, everything was just so overwhelming and so overwhelming. And the solution today for me is that I don't have to do it, you know. I don't have to do this alone. I'm not helpless. I am not helpless. You know, I get up in the morning and I have connection with my higher power. I kid you not, I this is my prescription. You know, I say to everybody, I have a prescription every morning. And what I do is I get up every morning and I do a meeting that lasts 15 minutes, a prayer meditation meeting. Okay. So I do on awakening, step 3, step 7 prayer and a daily reader. And I ask my higher power every day, you know, every morning, give me the next thought or action, you know, get me out of my head, allow me be there for somebody else. Let me be of service to my colleagues, my children, my family, you know, my friends. And then during the day, I take those outreach calls and I make them. Believe me, I make them. I make one always before I go into work. And it just sets the foundation for me. It sets the day to remind me, good morning, hello, thanks for taking the call. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater for today. You know, it reminds me that I have this solution. You know, I sponsor and I have a sponsee and she has a sponsee, which I think is really important. And I attend meetings and I put my name in the chat box. I eat 3 abstinent meals a day and I live in between. And that's as simple as it gets. I do a 10-step call every day. And if something comes up before my 10-step call is arranged, I make a call to a recovered member and I share that. Because I can't hold on to it, you know. In my house, you know, my children are of age, they're 11 and 13, and they thank me now that I'm in program because they no longer come in the garden and go, oh God, like, what's she going to be like? You know, did she have a binge? Is she going to be waiting for a binge? Is she going to be all just high from a binge? And they know now, you know, that they get mammy. That's me, you know, and I am no, by no means when I open my windows, birds do not land on my shoulder and I sing a merry tune. It is not like that, but it is a communication that I have with my family and the people that are close to me, that when I am getting restless, irritable and discontent, I know that something is coming up for me. There's places, there's things, there is something that's making me agitated. I'm only a year out of relapse and I know that I only have this for today, you know, and I can look back at relapse and understand how I relapsed. And it wasn't because that food was so fabulous I had to pick it up. It was because I didn't work this program. I didn't connect to people. I didn't connect to a higher power and I didn't have fellowship. And for me, I share to you as more than my best friends know, you know. when I'm sharing an outreach, when I'm sharing in a 10th step. And I just love fellowship. You know, I love that I can pick up the phone and say to somebody, you know, I have the fear of God in me because I'm going to meet somebody. And what about, you know, what if they don't like me? And what about, you know, and my friends might know that, because if I say to them, they'd be like, oh my God, don't be so stupid. But people in fellowship understand where that fear gets us. You know, when all of that buildup of human emotion comes to us, that's when we pick up, you know, because somewhere along my life, I discovered that when I was agitated or irritable or had that nervous feeling when I was a child, that when I put food in my mouth, it gave me ease and comfort, and I got an effect from it. And that followed me through my teenage years, through my adult years. So when life became unmanageable, that's what I done. I ate. And I don't need to do that today. Today, I can fill my life with enjoyment and peace. And this big book that you can see it, it's like falling apart. There's pages everywhere, you know. It's the best thing, that it's the best novel, it's the best book I have ever read. And I say to my sponsors, you know, the fear will always come, you know, the fear will always be there, you know, fear of, you know, being a sponsor, fear of taking those calls, fear of putting your camera on, you know, all of those stuff. But we're all here. And I know everybody on this group, you know, there's not one person that is thinking, you know, oh, that's easy. You know, I hope I'm going to be called on next week. I can't wait to share, because we all know that, you know, it's our disease that wants us to keep the camera off. Our disease wants us to skip a meeting. Our disease wants us not to have them 2 calls a day. Don't do a vision for you meeting. You know, go to a meeting where there's just people sitting around talking about whatever it is, you know. That's disease that just creeps in and creeps in and creeps in. And my higher power is so loud today. I just have so much gratitude that I can share this message. Just another thing that I think is just so important. It's one day at a time. You know, I hear people saying, you know, I'm getting married in 6 months, and I'm just like, okay, stop. You know, you're getting married in 6 months. Yeah, but like, you know, what's life going to be like? And, you know, I know him, but like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're in love today. You have a really good day today. That's all you have to worry about. So that's how I have to manage today. Today is Monday. You know, I'll probably be awake for another 3 hours, and I'll go to bed abstinent, and that's all I have to manage. You know, I can't manage any more than that. And I don't want to manage it, you know, because that's when I start getting overwhelmed and start to worry. But for today, I'm abstinent, and I'm just so grateful, you know, I'm really, really grateful that I have this. I'm grateful that, you know, when I do get agitated, my son says to his sister, you know, I think she needs to go and do a God call, you know. I'm grateful that, you know, that I have, you know, when I go places, I'm the one coming with the lunch bag, you know, with me food. And nobody, I used to think everybody used to look at me, you know, God, you know, I mean, you're all that, you know, and nobody would be looking. But I always used to think like, oh, sure, I couldn't bring me food to somebody's house. What if, you know, everybody is so focused on either you just being there or whatever the party is going on, that they're not worried, you know. It's the ego, you know, that gets us. And I had the biggest ego, you know. I really and truly thought, you know, that I was the bee's knees, you know. I really was the bee's knees, and everybody was just like, you know, and I was dying. I wouldn't mind, I was dying, you know. I was attending all these things, but just not even being present. And I probably am living more now in the last few months than I have. I feel like I existed for the last 42 years, and I'm just starting to live now as a newborn. I'm starting to learn how to crawl again. I'm starting to learn how to speak properly to people, how to be present. And it's just an amazing journey, you know. So anybody that's on this meeting tonight that thinks, you know, when you're in the field, you never imagine being out of the field. And when you're out of the field, you never imagine how you are in the field, you know. But all we have to worry about is, how can I get out of the field for 5 minutes, you know, staying out of it for 5 and building up on that and building up on that. So I don't know how long I've been waffling for, but I kind of feel that that's really all I have. I'm open to questions or anything, but I'm just so grateful that my higher power gave me some sort of message tonight, and I really hope you've got something from it. So thanks a million.
Thank you so much, Audrey. That was brilliant. That was superb. Thank you so much for your share, your experience, strength, hope. And yeah, I took so many notes, and I'm definitely sure that so many people got a lot out of that. So thank you so much. Okay, let's open the floor to shares. And currently, Mark's hand is up. I'm going to put my virtual hand up as well in the mix. So take it away, Mark.
Hi, my name is Mark and I'm a compulsive overeater. And Audrey, it was fantastic to hear your story and your take on it and how simple you keep things. And that's what it is. It's a simple program, and we always try and make things far more complicated. And, you know, I love what you say about, you know, it was all about me. And Jesus, it would have been, when I was in the food, I would have loved to meet you, because I was more powerful than the sun. Everything went around me. So that would have been quite a meeting. But, you know, what you said about the disease thinking, that was really loud. I was a brass band walking down the road with what was going on in my head. And now that's reduced down to a whisper, or maybe even nothing on the good days. And, you know, I remember going to functions, and I always, I had to be at the food table. I had to be at the end of the table. If I was bringing back food for myself and my wife, I was like a bloody cocaine dealer, because I knew which was the heaviest portion. It was like, oh yeah, that's the bigger one. And I knew just by weight and all that. And, you know, making them outreach calls, and, you know, when you said about, you know, that you're not alone, it was like I faced an issue just there very, very recently, and it was all coming to a head. And I was there saying, what would I say to a sponsee? Go to your bloody sponsor and, you know, come and look for advice. And I looked for advice from my sponsor, and, you know, all the answers were there. And, you know, and again, all of that, you know, wonderful advice, and, you know, that college of knowledge. And, you know, as you said, all the answers are in the big book, everything you need to know, and a vision for you, and outreach calls, and just doing the damn work. That's all it's about. And you're an inspiration. I love hearing you every time that you share, and you're always witty, and that true Dublin wit. I'm from Dublin inner city, and I love that, you know, Dublin accent. So it was fantastic to listen to you tonight, Audrey, and you're a huge addition to our meeting. So thanks very much, Audrey. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks for your share, Mark. Yeah, I did want to say as well, I do love your accent, but like, you know. Next up we have Margaret D, and then I'll jump in for a share. Great stuff. Margaret, take it away.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for your service. Hi, everybody. I'm Margaret, and a compulsive overeater, and thank you, Audrey, so much for sharing. It was a wonderful share, and I just got so much out of it today. I was just sharing with some of the members at the very beginning, before it started, that my husband's in a nursing home at the moment, and he has dementia, but he's been getting worse. And yesterday I went in, and his hand wasn't moving. So today the physio came in, and came in with a big set of exercises, and he asked me to do some exercises with him. And as I was doing the exercises, and I always ask God to be with me during the meeting, when I'm meeting with him, I just said to myself, stop. And I realized that I was bringing in water to make sure that he was hydrated. I was bringing in food to make sure he was eating properly. And I was now doing exercise. And I said, crazy, this is my self-will gone mad. And it felt like God was speaking to me. So I just I stopped doing the exercises. I put away the food, which he was choking on anyway. I put away the drinks. And I just sat with him and I prayed with him and I prayed to God. And I held his hands and just took myself out of it, you know? But it's like my self-will is going mad as he gets worse. There's some part of me thinking that I can control things, I can keep him alive. It's not my job to do that. So it's like I was just so aware this evening when I was with him of God being in the room with me and guiding me away from the doing and away from the self-will that has driven me all my life and drove me into food, thinking that I could control things and make things work on my terms. So it's wonderful to hear you, Audrey. It just you were so, and to hear about your program and to hear about how you're doing things and to hear about your rigorous honesty and your keeping things so simple and so right. So thank you for it. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you, Margaret. Great to have you with us. Really appreciate you. Okay, next up we have Bernie Kay. Take it away.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, Audrey, and hi everybody. I'm Bernie Kay, compulsive overeater. I recovered for today. I'm just so glad to be here and definitely getting the messages that I need to hear today. It's funny how our higher power can work in such a synchronous way when we connect with each other, how we can hear exactly what we need to hear. Audrey, thanks a million for that very, very, very powerful share. And thank you for reminding me how simple this program can be, you know, and just the practicalities, you know, taking the time to just say what you actually do on a daily basis is tremendously helpful to me. Talking about like having that 15-minute meeting in the morning, you know, reading upon awakening, saying step 3 and 7 prayers, your daily reader, you know, connecting through outreach, you know, before you go into work, you know, all these practical things that actually I really struggle with. So that's tremendously helpful. And I just love the way, you know, you surrender in terms of give me the next thought or action, get me out of my head, let me be of service to my family, my friends, my colleagues, you know, my fellows. And I love that notion of 3 abstinent meals and, you know, and life in between. And I, you know, when I was in the food, I used to go, I mean, I just couldn't imagine what could fill that hole. And when I got abstinent and, you know, I realized that life did, you know, I'd be the one climbing up the mountain and I, you know, the views could be stunning and the company could be wonderful. And, you know, and I wouldn't be thinking about any of that. I'd be just thinking about what I was going to eat when I got to the top, you know. And but when I got abstinent, when, you know, when you're recovered, you know, it's not about the food in any shape or form. It's about the experience, about the people you're with. It's about, you know, life and what you're seeing and experiencing. And you know, and you said, you know, about relapse, and, you know, I didn't work the program. I didn't connect with my higher power. I didn't connect with my fellows. And I've really struggled with that, you know, and, you know, and therefore allow that buildup of emotions. And I'm trying to find the humility, you know, to work my steps more consistently. So thank you. Sorry, I'm going on a bit much, but thank you, because that simple, you know, plan of action, which, you know, is going to help me do that. So thank you.
Great to have you with us, Bernie. Thanks for your share. Okay, next we have Liz E. Go for it.
Hi, good evening. Liz E from Bristol in the UK, recovered compulsive overeater and available to sponsor. Oh, Audrey, that was amazing. And I can't wait for you to post so I can listen to it again. I just loved the clarity and the simplicity. I'm going through I've just had a horrible row with my 16-year-old, and we're, you know, tensions are really high because she's in the middle of a bit of a health scare, and we're both really frightened. And I felt that I had to be the mother and not tell her that I was frightened. And I've realized that I just need to be honest with her and say that I'm finding this difficult too, because I thought, oh my God, it's not my job to burden her and this, that, and the other. But I can only do my stuff. And it's like that kind of petticoat of fear has just been showing over the last few days between us, which has built up and built up. And I, need to make amends to her. And but by listening to what you were talking about, Audrey, I've got some clarity over what I need to do. I can only do my journey. I can't do Lucy's journey for her, even though I really want to, and I really want to control everything and all the hospital appointments we've got and this and that and the other and etc. etc. And but I can only do my journey and be the best and surrender. And it is the ultimate challenge of surrender that I'm going through when you have a child who's quite poorly and or potentially quite poorly. And it's really tough and just full of fear. But it has given me a massive insight, because I don't think I've experienced a level of fear like this for, well, being in proper recovery. And boy, am I feeling it. But also it's making me think about, gosh, other people in the world who are experiencing fear. This is horrible. But it's better to feel it. I'm not picking up on it. I'm doing a ton of outreach, and it does work. And the program is simple. And that is all I need to do, is just do today. And if I can only do this morning, this afternoon, this evening, that is good as well. Anyway, love to hear from all of you. Thanks a million for listening to me. And I'll pass.
Thanks so much, Liz. Great to hear from you as always. Okay, next we have Anita. Please jump in.
Thanks a million, Rebecca. Thanks for your service. Hi, Audrey. Thanks so much for your share. And from it as always. The bit that I really liked was when you talked about, that you were 13 hours abstinent. I just thought that was lovely. And I thought, yeah, that all any of us have is today and the right now. But I loved that, it's like just that reminder of, tomorrow hasn't happened and, we can't coast on yesterday. I think what I love about listening to you, Audrey, is you're very practical about the program and very down to earth. And that kind of speaks my kind of language. And I loved like all the little, like was mentioned earlier, all your little tips about the things you do in the morning and things that set you up for the day and stuff like that. I really liked that. I was talking with a sponsee today, and we were talking about, talking the talk versus walking the walk, I think that's what I heard tonight. I heard a member walking the walk, and I benefited from you talking about your past experience and relapse and coming back. And so thank you for that. And I always love the way you always say, the newcomer is the most important person in the room. You always say that, and I love that. And I also loved when you talked about, there'll always be fear. There'll always be fear. There'll always be, fear about stuff about the program and fear about, life and parenting and relationships and all of that. So just thank you for your honesty, and thank you for saying it like it is, and for sharing your experience, your strength and your hope. So thanks, Audrey, appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for your share, Anita. Great to have you with us. Okay, next we've got Nancy P. Do you jump in?
Wow, I think I'm the only American here. Is it like racist to say that all you people sound alike, all the different accents to my American ears? Sorry. But anyways, they're all lovely. Excellent, 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 excellent share. You know, your humility and your steadfastness is a joy to hear. And, you know, I have something to say about this reading. This chapter is my favorite chapter in the book. And, you know, I love, you know, you seem to personify like the whole, well, I mean, you spoke about it. So, you know, it's like you gave voice to these words. You know, the ease with which we discard our old ideas for new by the complete readiness with which we throw away the theory or gadget which does not work for something new which does. I mean, the old gadget that didn't work that I was using, that totally didn't work, like even a little, was the lurking notion that I could skate, somehow take a shortcut, somehow not do everything that it said in the book exactly as it says, and that I was going to end up with the same thing that all the recovered people ended up with. And that never worked even a little. And I would say that, you know, the only hard part of the entire process for me was the surrender, was to become completely ready and then to execute, press Command E, you know? And once I did that, I got everything that it says in this book. And yeah, you're right. I still have these bedevilments, you know. I will say that, you know, I have far less trouble with all of these things, personal relationships. I'm not as prey to misery and depression. I've decided to retire. I might go back to work, but for right now, I'm kicking up my heels a little bit. And I'm not so full of fear. However, as you said, all those things still exist. But today, I can say that, you know, my feelings don't own me anymore. They don't tell me what to do and what to say. They just sort of exist, and I am not owned by them. And because of that, you know, not to say that that things don't hurt and frighten me, they do. And sometimes that's my prayer. I'm hurting. You know, that's my prayer. I can't ever think of any particular prayers because I'm really bad at doing it. But, you know, sometimes I pray and I say I'm hurting. And sometimes I say, you know, I don't like this. My real prayer is I don't like this. I don't want things to be this way. That's my main prayer. And the answer is always the same. Is I know, but I've got your back. It doesn't say, oh, absolutely not, Nancy. You're completely right. I'll take care of everything. That's never the answer. The answer is still that I'm going to be okay. Just what you said. And the last thing that I'll say is, you know, it says here, our ideas did not work, but the God idea did. Well, this agnostic has a problem with that. But I can say that when I read that with an open mind, after I had surrendered, I began to believe that maybe this process would work even for me, as dishonest and nasty and mean and horrible a person as I am or was. You know, maybe it would be for me too. And that has in fact proven to be the case. So thank you for letting me share an excellent, excellent share.
Oh, thanks for your share, Nancy. Great to have you with us. I'm going to jump in and take a share and then hand over to Rebecca. But yeah, hi, my name is Rebecca. I'm a compulsive overeater. Thank you so much, Audrey, for your share. Like, I was, you know, yeah, I always love when you share on meetings. I was like, yeah, Audrey sharing, listen, take notes. And I was lucky enough to get to share with you on the 10th step train. And when I realized I had to find speakers, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to hear from Audrey, because, you know, like what's been said, you know, it's a funny little paradox that we're working to live our lives on a spiritual basis, but it's very practical. It's very practical in the way that you broke it down, your morning daily prescription. Yeah, it's practical. We're like I'm living something impossible. It was impossible for me to stay out of the food. It was impossible for me not to obsess about my body or what people were thinking of me. It was impossible not to live in extreme fear all the time. And yet 24 hours at a time, this is what I'm doing. And the steps teach us to do it very practically, you know. And it works when we keep it simple. And that's what you said. Like, I can make things so complex, and it didn't work. That's what didn't work. That this kind of keeping it simple, keeping fears contained in the fact that all I have to do is face the next 24 hours or the next 3 hours, like you said, yeah? And then things become very contained, you know? Oh, he said so many great things. I took so many notes. But yeah, you know, those bedevilments and not having the luxury of having a bitch fest. Yeah, I cried when I realized the foods that I would have to put down. I really cried. I really mourned them. But I mourned things like a bitch fest, you know, to be able to kind of be like, meh, 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 because I don't have the luxury of that, you know. That was killing me. Today I have freedom. I don't have bitch fests necessarily, but I have freedom. And that's what really resonated with me and what you shared as well. And yeah, this whole thing about being self-seeking and, you know, getting the greatest gift so that people can be like, oh, you're amazing, so that we're manipulating people. I did that. You know, I was all about that. I could be the kindest, nicest little thing so that you would think this, and that. Today, I don't have to get my validation from that. I look to my higher power for that. And yeah, you know, it's one day at a time, it's a work in progress. But thank you for the light that you shed on that reading. Thank you for what you bring. Okay, with that I pass. And to close us out, Rebecca, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Rebecca. I'm a compulsive reader. Thank you, Rebecca, for your service, and Audrey for your share. Yeah, I haven't been to this meeting in a while, so I'm so happy to be back. I've recently, as in a few days ago, just moved home, so I'm back up in the north at the minute, and it's just been a very crazy time, I think. But I've just, I don't know, been very content. I was saying a lot of, over the past 10 days, a lot of goodbyes to people in Dublin as I was moving, and my life was just kind of just turned upside down, because I feel like at the moment, especially with things opening up and whatever, most people, all they want to do is go, can we go for lunch, can we go for breakfast, can we do this, and all like meetups and social occasions are just surrounding food, and it was very like intimidating. But like, I did what I had to do. Some people, I was like, hey, let's just go for a walk, and then if I just had to like take into like account what I can control and how I can control it, and that there is options there, and that it's not out of my control, and like, I just have to trust in my higher power that it's all going to be okay, and that I'm not going to be put into any situations that are going to make me go relapse, or I suppose harm me. But yeah, like, it's just been emotionally tormenting, I suppose, and I've done so many step 10s on it. But I think one thing that I'm so grateful for is to be able to go on Zoom and see all the familiar faces and know that like this family isn't gone, and not that anything's gone. I'm kind of being a bit dramatic now, but like, I can just come on to the meetings, and like, this part of my life, I'm not leaving behind. Like, it's coming with me, and I'm very thankful for you and for my higher power. And with that, I'll pass.
Oh, thanks so much, Rebecca. If it's any consolation, I'm way further away than you are to your home. So, of course, you know, great stuff. It has now come to the time to close the meeting, I guess, since from the way it looks, we don't have any more hands up. Okay. Are there any OA announcements? Feel free to kind of jump in or place them in the chat. Okay, I'd like to remind you of Tradition 7, that every OA group ought to be self-supporting, declining outside contributions, The money pays for rent and literature, and any excess funds go to Intergroup. We will post the PayPal link for the 7th tradition in the chat function. Tradition 12 states that anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all these traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Therefore, who you see here, what you hear here, when you leave here, please let it stay here. And before we go to our closing reading, I just want to thank everybody doing service at this meeting and making it possible, everybody attending and sharing. And thank you so much, Audrey, for your awesome share today. Okay, would Ellie please read the promises for us from page 83?
Absolutely. Can I be heard okay?
Yeah, great.
Ellie, compulsive overeater, and Audrey, thanks for a smashing share. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
Thanks so much. Okay, thanks everybody who did service at this meeting. We'll now close with the Serenity Prayer, using the word God as we understand the word to be.
God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to do the difference.
Thy will, not mine, be done. Amen.
Keep coming back, folks.
Keep coming back.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Everyone.